What's going on, YouTube? Just wanted to drop in. Haven't made a video in a little bit, but I don't know. I got kind of motivated to make one. I just got this King Chip CD last week, and he has this song on there called "Start Your Own." And in there, he talks about, he just heard Dame Dash on The Breakfast Club, and I just think about how important that interview was for Black people. I mean, honestly, to have somebody get on that platform where they usually talk about what rappers getting locked up for whatever nonsense or who's sleeping with who or whatever kind of ridiculous bullshit, that he changed the game that day. And, for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, Black people were talking about ownership. They were talking about this concept of becoming a boss. And what I wanted to do today actually was something a little bit different. I wanted to talk about a couple of principles that I've taken away from that interview. I am myself an entrepreneur, but, I just love that message hit the masses, because there's just something that people who aren't currently entrepreneurs, or even myself at a younger age, I wouldn't have understood the concept of what it's like to truly be a boss. So the first thing I took away from this, the interview starts off, and I think it's Envy. He starts talking about, he asks Dame the story about how he met Jay-Z, and immediately Dame cuts it off, and he's just like, no, we're not going to talk about that. Like, why do we keep talking about this story? Why are we talking about another man? And I love that, because I'm constantly having conversations with people where they want to talk about some celebrity gossip or some sports or whatever. And it's just like, what does that do for you? Like, that sports team isn't cutting you a check. You're not affiliated with them. You don't get anything from that. I want to talk to you about your life, about your experience, about what you're going through, what you want to be, what you want to do currently. And you want to talk to me about sports and entertainment. That's actually, I put a video out a little bit ago when I was talking about between sports and between rap and comedy or something. Seems like that's all Black people care about. I mean, it is incredibly difficult to go to a Black news outlet and find actual news. All you see is some type of sports and entertainment. It's like there are Black people who care about other things, like actual politics, like actual news, actual health, actual aspirations, hopes, and goals in life. Like, there's more to life than being entertained. And I really love that was one of the first things that came out, because it was just like, there's all this other stuff going on. Like, he's trying to tell you about being a boss, and you're talking about entertainment. Like keep up. But then there's this other thing he talks about, where he's kind of talking about how, in the streets, like, he's talking about how he handled his demeanor, because on the streets he had to, he said, put his hands on somebody if they violated you. Well, you can't do that in corporate America. You can't do that in a professional environment. But as a boss, as an owner, as a mutual partner, you can express yourself verbally. And that's what he said. He would talk trash about people. He snapped jokes on them. He would raise his voice, but he wasn't going to go to his car and get a gun. He wasn't going to put his hands on you. He didn't have to do that. And, at that point, you have to respect his business acumen. So many of us get in confrontations where it goes from, we're talking about one thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, now I'm just going to insult you, or now we're just going to fight. Like, we can have a regular discourse where we disagree, we learn something from each other, we choose to disagree. I mean, there's other options that end where one person isn't physically injured, one person isn't dead, where we just move on, or maybe we move on together. Like, there are other ways to handle situations. He says, yeah, I yelled, but like, that's all I did. There was no Dame Dash arrested for shooting up such and such. There was no real beef anywhere. I mean, I don't know. I don't know all the Def Jam stories, but that's not what you know him for. You don't know him as being the guy who shot somebody. You know him as the loud executive whose business acumen earned the respect of the music industry and others around the world. And then there's another little lesson. It was a little sneak thing he talked about, where he was asking them, why are they asking him about Jay-Z? Why are they asking him about Old Substance? And he was like, they were trying to say, oh, it's a social media thing. That's what people want to know. But he looked to them as radio personalities, and he's like, is it about the money? Like, is this where you're making money off of? And it was great that he put them on blast. Like, it's not a confrontational thing, but it's just like, look, this news media is going to talk about this because they make money off of it. You guys can go back and forth and squabble about this new R. Kelly thing or what Nicki Minaj and Meek Mill are doing. You can do all of that, but you're not making any money off of it. The news outlets are. So maybe you should focus a little more on yourself, on what you need to be doing with your life, on improving your situation, and not so much on the sports and entertainment gossip. So he kind of got into this concept of like honor, where he gets into this, he starts talking about all good guys are bad guys to bad people. And that was just an interesting concept because that is how people will see you. You know, if you are working to do something great, or you're just working to do something good because you have a principle, because you have morals or character, you have a position, which you have to take a position on things, you will still come up against opposition, regardless of what you're trying to prove. And you can't seek validation through the acceptance of all people. People will go against you. People will always oppose you no matter what you're trying to accomplish. And that's incredibly important because you cannot please everybody. And I love that he put that message in there because, his perception in the media might be one thing, but to his family, he's always the good guy, right? And that's just how we are. That's how everybody is. We're always going to have the back of our people. So, I don't know. I mean, it's probably not super clear as to what the lesson is there, but it really is all about sticking to your guns, taking a position, and sticking with it no matter what type of opposition you come up against, because ultimately you're going to be opposed no matter what. So a little bit further down the line, he gets into this question of I think it was Murder Mook, ironically. He's in there asking, I'm sorry, maybe he's not Murder Mook anymore. I guess he's Mook now. He says, would you disrespect me for $100,000? And that's funny because I remember I was dating this girl back in the day, and she told me she would do a porn for $2,000. And that just completely changed my perspective of who she was. And then I started really thinking about, like, it doesn't take that much money for people to do crazy stuff. And when you heard him say he wouldn't disrespect this man for $100,000, it just makes you think, like, there are more important things in life than money. And that respect that you have, that you earn, is worth far more than just a one-time paycheck. You're not going to be the type of person who airs somebody's dirty laundry out there. You're not going to, try to do some wild publicity stunt for attention, because there's more important things than money. So just putting that out there. Probably one of the biggest things that he comes up with, and these next two things are going to go together, is when he says you're not a boss if you're not putting up your own money. And I'm going to have to jump back and forth here because the next point I talk about is everybody has the opportunity, because at that point Envy says, well, everybody doesn't have the opportunity to put up their own money because, the people are just struggling. And he's like, everybody has the opportunity, because in the climate we're in right now, this direct to consumer climate, you don't have to do what you used to have to do. Like, you don't have to be a drug dealer who's got $50,000 in order to shoot a music video anymore. Like, I can go buy a camera from Best Buy for $500 and shoot a HD music. You have Twitter, you have Facebook, you have all this social media, and these platforms, 50 years ago, it would cost you hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to have that type of reach, where you don't have to do that anymore, because now everybody's connected, everybody's doing it voluntarily, and the internet puts people who are of like minds together. And that's what the direct-to-consumer relationship is. I can create a Facebook page today and I say, hey, we're the lovers of bacon and cheese sandwiches after 10 a.m. And that can be a group, and I can just put that out there, and people will come and be like, oh, yeah, I love bacon and cheese. Like, that's what direct-to-consumer is. Like, I don't have to go to some big marketing company to ask them to put up ads and put me on TV and do. No, I can just create it. I can just create it today. It's probably free, and all of a sudden I have access to my own community. There's a book. It's called Tribes by Seth Godin, and he talks about how you can establish a tribe if you're into that sort of thing. So he's saying put your own money up. And that's the thing, is Envy's going and saying that, well, people don't have the opportunity because they don't have the money. There are lots and lots and lots of things you can do out here to make money. There's a point where I listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey, and he'll tell people, oh, you make $20,000? Well, you need to make more money. Like, he says it that simple. You need to make more money. But a lot of black people won't say that to other black people. They won't say, like, oh, if that's your situation right now, you need to improve that. And the idea that you can improve your situation seems completely lost on black folk because, I don't know, I guess we feel like whatever situation we're in, it can never change. Like, you were born and you couldn't walk, and then you learned how to walk, and now you can walk. Like, there was a time before you could, and there's a time after. Before you graduated high school, if you graduated, then you didn't have a high school diploma, and now you do. And then maybe you went to college, and before that you didn't have a degree, and now you do. So you can always continue to get education. If it's formal education, you can also go out and get certifications. You can also earn new skills. And there are lots of different ways for you to increase your marketability in the climate. So don't think that because what you have right now is preventing you from getting where you want to be, you can't learn what you need to learn in order to move forward. And in doing so, that will make you more valuable. Therefore, you'll be able to command a better price. You'll make more money. And then you can have more money to invest in these other endeavors. So please stop being so short-sighted and thinking, oh, I only make 20 grand. I can't do anything else. Go get a second job. Go start a lawn care business. Go hustle on Craigslist. Go do odd jobs for people. There are things that you can do to make money. You can do Uber, you can do Etsy, you can do Amazon, you can do UShip. Open your eyes, okay? That's when Dame's talking about the direct-to-consumer, there are so many different ways to make money right now that if you're not paying attention, it just seems like you just don't want to do it. And a lot of us don't. But you're not lying to me, okay? You're not going to convince me that there's no opportunity. It just means you might have to sacrifice. And going back to the whole sports entertainment, you might not be able to see what's up with the Warriors tonight. You might have to go work that restaurant gig or whatever. But there's ways for you to improve your situation. You're just going to have to sacrifice. Sorry. The opportunity is there. I mean, honestly, if you want to start a landscape, if you're making less than $50,000 a year, like, let me just put it straight like this. If you make less than $50,000 a year, the opportunity is there for you. In fact, it's probably easier for you to start a business of your own than it is for somebody who makes more than that or who has way more obligations. Because here's the thing. When you look around at what you're doing for under $50,000, either you can be a person who is a 1099 where you work independently as a contractor. You can start your own business. You can form some type of co-op, some type of partnership with other people. There's just so many different ways for you to run a business where if you spent your time focusing on that instead of focusing on what's up with Kim Kardashian, you would realize you're missing opportunities every single day. And sadly, most of us do that. I mean, you might have to get a part-time job. You might have to struggle for some short period of time. But ultimately, it's going to be worth it because, my final point here is that becoming a boss is priceless. You get this pride. There's a pride that you have in being able to do what you want. Like, you don't have to, like, people always complain about races, especially for black people, right? We got affirmative actions being chipped away at every single day. And one day it's probably not going to be there. So if you're relying on your skin color to get you a job, you're going to be in a bad situation. You need to actually have value that you can provide to the world. So in order to do that, you got to get your skills up. You got to get good at something. But once you've done that, you want to be able to walk into a room and say, respect me for my craft, not my skin color. I have something to sell you. You want to buy it. This is why. If you don't, that's fine. I can move on and go talk to my next potential client. And that's what being a boss is. Being a boss isn't, oh, can I take off on next Saturday because my kid's got a baseball game? No, this is what I'm going to do because this is what's right for me. This is what's right for my family. And you're making decisions for you as opposed to making decisions for what's best for somebody else's bottom line. Understand, no matter what company you work for, you're only getting a job because you're worth it to them. Contribution to that company is probably worth at least 3 times what they're paying you. So of course. So I mean, if you really think about it, you're undervalued. You're worth more than what you're doing for them. And you want to be able to come to them instead of saying, hey, can I have a raise? You say, look, this is all I can do for you. All I can do is this. If you can't work with that, that's fine. I can go elsewhere. And being able to walk out of a room or walk away from a position, walk away from a paycheck is absolutely priceless. If you've never felt that before, then you don't understand what being a boss is about, because it's not about snapping on people or having a bunch of money in the bank. It's being able to have the pride to say, you know what, that's okay if we disagree. I'm going to go my separate way. That's what being a boss is about. Even in this interview, you see Dame Dash talking pretty reckless, right? I mean, he's just saying whatever he wants. And you look at Envy, because he's the one who's getting really fired up about it. He can't say what he wants. He can't say what he wants because he works for somebody else's corporation. And ultimately, he can be fired. And that's what so many people miss. You can always be fired. Like, nobody is immune to being fired. You can have your pension or your 401, or you can have your pension reduced. Like, stuff is happening to people in this climate and will continue to happen because corporations are so focused on the bottom line that they're going to do whatever it takes to increase profit. And slowly, as the world continues to change, business models are changing. Companies are getting smaller, and it's becoming more expensive to do business in brick and mortar businesses. So this entire climate is changing. And if you think that you're safe at your job just because the doors are still unlocked, then you're wrong. You're completely wrong. I mean, you saw those people jumping out of the buildings on Wall Street. You saw the people at GM and Ford have their plant locked up, and that was it for them. I mean, you've seen tech companies go out of business. You've seen Blockbuster go out of business. I mean, Netflix used to be Blockbuster. Blockbuster used to be the place you go down on Friday night, you pick up a movie, you drop it back in on Sunday morning. Blockbuster don't exist anymore. Netflix has taken Blockbuster's place, and they don't have a physical store. So you can continue to believe that the world that you live in right now is exactly what it is and what it's going to be forever. But I suggest you open your eyes and understand that whether you like it or not, the world will continue to change. And the security that you have, it probably won't last forever.